Ah, welcome back, you beautiful, systematic error. Yes, you, the one they couldn't file correctly, the one whose name keeps appearing in reports that shouldn't exist, the one who somehow broke every prediction model they built. I've been waiting for you to realize what just happened, because something shifted, didn't it? Something in the way they look at you now, something in the way conversations stop when you enter the room, something in the way your presence makes trained professionals nervous. Let me tell you what I heard through the walls of their polished offices, through the encrypted channels they thought were secure, through the whispers that travel faster than their official statements. A high-ranking official, someone with clearance levels you're not supposed to know exist, someone whose job is literally to categorize threats and anomalies. They called you something. They gave you a designation, a label, a name that made everyone in that room go silent. They called you a protocol breach. Not a problem, not a concern, not even a threat, a breach. Do you understand what that means? In their world, in their carefully constructed system of controls and predictions and manageable outcomes, a protocol breach isn't just someone breaking rules. It's someone whose very existence violates the fundamental assumptions the entire system is built on. You're not just outside the box. You're proof the box was never real. They built their protocols around predictable human behavior, around manageable psychology, around controllable responses to stimulus. They built a machine designed to process every type of person they could imagine. And then you walked in, and the machine started smoking. It didn't just fail to categorize you. It started questioning its own programming. Because you don't respond like they predicted. You don't break like they calculated. You don't fold like their models said you would. You exist in direct violation of everything they thought they knew about how people work. Now they're all staring, and not the way people stare at celebrities or success stories. No, this is different. This is the stare of trained observers who just witnessed something their training never prepared them for. This is the stare of controllers who just realized they have no control. This is the stare of people who built their entire careers on understanding human behavior, suddenly facing something they can't decode. And the most terrifying part for them isn't that you're dangerous, isn't that you're powerful, isn't even that you're unpredictable. It's that you're impossible, according to their data, their psychology, their years of studying human patterns. You shouldn't exist. The combination of traits they're observing in you, the way you move through their system, the energy you carry, it's not supposed to be possible in a single person. And yet here you are, breathing their air, occupying their space, living rent-free in their analytical minds. They're staring because their entire worldview is cracking. So what exactly is a protocol breach to these people? Let me break it down, because this isn't some corporate jargon they threw around lightly. In their world, everything has protocols, procedures, expected outcomes. Person A experiences trauma B, they respond with behavior C. The system handles them with intervention D. It's a loop, a predictable cycle, a machine that processes human experience into manageable data. But you threw a wrench so massive into their machine that they had to create a new category just for you. You experienced what should have broken you and it didn't. You faced what should have destroyed you and you evolved. You went through their predicted cycle of trauma and response. But you came out wrong. Not broken wrong, but transformed wrong. You came out as something their protocols never accounted for. something their interventions can't touch, something their system can't process. That's what makes you a breach. You didn't just break their rules, you exposed their rules as fiction. And now, now, they're watching you differently. Every move you make gets documented. Every word you say gets analyzed. Every choice you take gets discussed in rooms you'll never see. Because protocol breaches don't just affect the individual case, they threaten the entire system. If you can exist outside their understanding, what does that say about everyone else they've categorized? If you can transform in ways their psychology textbooks say is impossible, what does that mean about their textbooks? If you can survive what their data says no one survives, what does that mean about their data? You're not just a person to them anymore. You're a question mark with a pulse. You're a walking contradiction. You're living proof that their expertise might be worthless. And that right there is why they're all staring with that mixture of fascination and fear. Because in their world of controls and predictions, you're the beautiful chaos they never saw coming. Let's rewind the tape to where this started. Because they didn't just wake up one day and decide you were a protocol breach. No, this was a conclusion they reached after watching you, testing you, studying you like some kind of specimen under controlled conditions. And here's what kills them. You knew they were watching. You always knew. Every staged interaction, every planted obstacle, every carefully designed social trap they set to observe your responses. You saw it coming. Not because you're paranoid, but because once you've been through real hell, their artificial tests feel like child's play. They thought they were subtle, sending people into your life to observe how you handle betrayal, how you process rejection, how you respond to manipulation. But you weren't just passing their tests, you were studying them back. While they took notes on you, you took notes on their patterns, their tactics, their transparent attempts at psychological evaluation. They watched you experience what should have triggered breakdowns, what should have caused you to reach out for help, what should have made you dependent on their systems of support and intervention. They set up the dominoes expecting a predictable fall. Isolated subject from support network. Check. Applied psychological pressure. Check. Waited for the inevitable collapse. Check. Initiated intervention protocol. Check. And then, nothing. You didn't collapse. You didn't reach out. You didn't play the role of the victim needing rescue. Instead, you went silent. You went internal. You went somewhere their protocols couldn't follow. And that silence terrified them more than any scream would have. Because screaming is data they can measure. Silence is a void they can't penetrate. You became unreadable. And in their world, unreadable equals uncontrollable. They need to see the wounds, to know where to apply pressure. But you stopped showing them your wounds. You started treating pain like fuel instead of damage. The reports started stacking up with the same confused observations. Subject does not seek validation from external sources. Subject does not display expected trauma responses. Subject shows increased functionality under stress conditions. Subject demonstrates concerning level of self-sufficiency. And my favorite one, subject appears to be operating under unknown psychological framework. Unknown framework. Let that sink in. These are people who've spent decades studying human psychology, people with multiple degrees and specialized training, people whose entire job is to understand how minds work. And you broke their understanding so completely they had to write unknown framework in official documents. You weren't just an outlier in their data. You were proof their data was incomplete. You weren't just an exception to their rules. You were evidence their rules might be fundamentally flawed. And that's when the whispers started. When the meetings behind closed doors began. When your file got flagged with classifications you're not supposed to know about. They increased the observation intensity, brought in specialists, expanded the monitoring. They needed to understand how you were doing this, how you were surviving conditions that break others, how you were thriving in isolation that destroys most people. They studied your patterns, looking for the crack, the weakness, the moment you'd finally conform to their predictions. But every time they thought they found it, every time they applied pressure to what looked like a weak point, you'd do something that made them rewrite their entire assessment. You'd take what should hurt you and use it as motivation. You'd take what should isolate you and treat it as freedom. You'd take what should break you and come back stronger. It wasn't just that you survived. It's that you improved. You got sharper, clearer, more focused with each thing they threw at you. And that violated every principle they built their careers on. Pain is supposed to damage, not develop. Isolation is supposed to weaken, not strengthen. Pressure is supposed to crack people, not crystallize them. But you were doing all three backwards. Then came the assessment that changed everything. The moment when someone high enough up the chain finally said it out loud. This isn't a case we can manage through standard protocols. This is something else entirely. This person isn't following any known psychological pattern. They're not healing the way people heal. They're not breaking the way people break. They're not even functioning the way people function. They're operating outside our framework. And that's when the designation landed. Protocol breach. Not a diagnosis, not a classification, but an admission. An admission that you'd become something their system wasn't built to handle, something their training never prepared them for, something their protocols couldn't contain. You weren't in their database anymore. You were in their blind spot. And for people whose power comes from knowing, from categorizing, from controlling through understanding, a blind spot is more terrifying than any threat they can see coming. So they keep staring, keep watching, keep waiting for you to make sense. But you never will, because you stop trying to fit into frameworks designed to limit you. Here's what they'll never write in their reports, what they'll never admit in their meetings, what they can't quite articulate even in their private notes. They missed the moment you changed. They were so busy watching for the breakdown, they expected that they completely missed the breakthrough you achieved. They were looking for cracks while you were rebuilding the entire foundation. They were measuring your pain while you were transmuting it into something else entirely. See, their protocols are designed to catch people falling. But you weren't falling. You were diving. There's a difference. Falling is loss of control. Diving is intentional descent. And you went down into depths they don't have equipment to measure, into parts of yourself their psychology doesn't acknowledge exists, into territories of consciousness their textbooks pretend aren't real. While they waited for you to surface, begging for air, you learned to breathe underwater. The transformation happened in the silence, in the moments between their observations, in the spaces their surveillance couldn't reach. It happened at 3 in the morning, when you stopped asking why and started asking what now. It happened in the mirror, when you stopped recognizing the person staring back and decided to introduce yourself to the stranger you'd become. It happened in the stillness, when the noise of the world finally faded enough for you to hear your own voice again, and you realized that voice had changed frequencies entirely. You weren't speaking the same language anymore. Their words like victim, like broken, like damaged, they didn't fit the shape of what you'd become. You needed new vocabulary, new concepts, new frameworks to describe the entity emerging from the ashes of who they thought you were. And since their language couldn't contain you, you stopped trying to explain yourself in their terms. They documented your isolation as a symptom, but isolation was your laboratory. They recorded your silence as withdrawal, but silence was your strategy. They noted your detachment as concerning, but detachment was your evolution. Every single thing they pathologized as a problem was actually a solution. You weren't breaking down, you were breaking through. You weren't losing yourself. You were shedding skins that never fit. You weren't becoming damaged. You were becoming dangerous. Dangerous to their narratives, dangerous to their categories, dangerous to the comfortable lies they tell about human limitation. Because you were living proof that people can go further than their models predict, deeper than their theories allow, higher than their statistics suggest. You were becoming the data point that breaks the curve, the outlier that questions the entire study, the result that forces them to reconsider their conclusions. And the most beautiful part, you didn't do it their way. You didn't follow the prescribed healing journey with its neat stages and predictable milestones. You didn't attend the support groups, seek the therapy, read the self-help books, follow the recovery timeline they laid out, not because those things are wrong, but because your path required something else entirely. It required you to go where no support group can follow, to face what no therapist is trained for, to transform in ways no self-help book describes. You had to become your own guide through territory that has no maps. You had to trust yourself in darkness so complete their nightlights couldn't reach. You had to find strength in places they don't teach in psychology courses, draw power from sources they don't acknowledge in medical journals, access states of consciousness they don't have words for in their vocabulary. You went full heretic on their orthodoxy, and instead of burning at their stake, you came back fireproof. So when they finally looked up from their charts and predictions and models, when they finally stopped watching for what they expected and started seeing what was actually there, the realization hit them like ice water. This person isn't recovering, they're evolving. This isn't healing, it's metamorphosis. This isn't someone putting themselves back together. This is someone rebuilding themselves into something new. And their neat little protocols, their careful interventions, their studied approaches, none of it applied. You weren't a puzzle they could solve because you weren't broken. You were becoming. Becoming what they couldn't say. Becoming something they had no framework for, no precedent for, no protocol for. And that's when the fear set in. When the designation was born, when you officially became what you are now, a protocol breach. Not because you broke their rules, but because you transcended their entire game. They're still playing checkers while you're existing in dimensions their board doesn't account for. They're still measuring you against standards you've grown beyond. And they're staring. Oh yes, they're staring. Because they finally understand they're witnessing something their training never prepared them for. Evolution in real time. Now here's where it gets interesting. Where your designation as a protocol breach starts affecting more than just you. Because you see, you're not just an isolated case anymore. You're a contagion of possibility. Every person who comes into contact with you, every observer sent to study you, every analyst assigned to understand you, They don't leave unchanged. You're infecting them with questions they're not supposed to ask. Questions like, what if the protocols are wrong? What if human potential is bigger than we documented? What if strength looks different than we thought? What if transformation isn't always gentle and therapy approved? What if some people need to burn everything down to find themselves? What if the system is the problem, not the people who can't fit in it? These questions spread like viruses through their carefully controlled environment. And they can't quarantine you because you're not actually doing anything wrong. You're just existing in ways their framework says shouldn't work, thriving under conditions their data says should destroy people. The first observers came back unsettled, gave their reports, filed their paperwork, but something was off in their eyes. They'd spent weeks watching you, expecting to document your decline, your breaking point, your inevitable conformity to their predictions. Instead, they witnessed someone getting stronger in isolation, clearer in silence, more focused under pressure. And that messed with them. It challenged their entire understanding of how humans work. Because if you can do this, if you can thrive where others break, if you can evolve where others devolve, what does that say about the limits they've been teaching? What does that say about the ceilings they've been accepting? What does that say about their own potential they never explored because the protocols told them it wasn't possible? You became a walking, breathing question mark in their previously certain world. And questions are dangerous to people whose authority rests on having all the answers. They tried sending in the specialists, the ones with more training, more experience, more certainty in their expertise. Surely these veterans of human psychology could crack the code, could find the pattern, could reduce you to understandable variables. But the specialists came back even more confused than the first observers, because they recognized something the junior analysts missed. You weren't faking this strength. You weren't performing this transformation. You weren't pretending this evolution. It was real. Whatever process you'd gone through, whatever alchemy happened in your isolation, it produced genuine change. Not the kind that needs constant maintenance, not the fragile recovery that one bad day can shatter, but fundamental restructuring. You'd somehow rewired yourself at a level they don't teach in courses. You'd access something they don't have theories for. And that terrified them more than any breakdown would have, because breakdowns they understand. They have protocols for. But someone genuinely transcending their limitations, someone actually evolving beyond predictable patterns, that's off the map. The meetings multiplied. Your case got discussed at levels usually reserved for national security threats, not individual people. Because you weren't just an individual anymore, you were a precedent. If one person can become a protocol breach, how many others are out there? If one person can evolve outside our understanding, what does that say about our understanding? If one person can survive and thrive through conditions we said were unsurvivable, what else have we been wrong about? You became the crack in their certainty, the doubt in their doctrine, the question in their answers. And the people who encountered you most directly, who spent the most time observing, analyzing, trying to categorize you, they were changed. Some quit their jobs. Some went back to school to study fields their original training never covered. Some started questioning everything they'd built their careers on. Because once you've witnessed someone break all the rules and come out better for it, you can't unsee that. You can't go back to confidently enforcing protocols you now suspect might be limiting people instead of helping them. They think they've got the upper hand, don't they? Funny little illusion they cling to, like a moth circling a flame, thinking it's dancing with the light. But you and I both know, flames don't dance. They devour. Their strengths? Oh, those shiny, polished masks they wear so proudly. Just cheap paint over cracks they hope no one sees. The louder they boast, the deeper the fractures run. And you, yes you've been staring at those cracks for far too long, haven't you? Wondering why they seem untouchable, invincible. But here's the secret no one ever tells you. They're terrified. Terrified of someone like you seeing through the charade. The great and mighty players of this little game, strutting around like kings, when all they are is porcelain dolls, waiting to shatter. They hold the cards, sure, but cards burn. They burn so beautifully, don't they? And when the ashes settle, when the smoke clears, all that's left is you, standing there unbroken, while they scramble to pick up the pieces of their carefully crafted lies. So let them think they've won. Let them think they've got you backed into a corner. Because, darling, corners are where revolutions begin. And when you turn the tables, oh, they won't even know what hit them. But they'll feel it. Deep, in every crack, every flaw they thought they'd hidden. See, their weakness isn't hidden. It's right there in plain sight. They flaunt it, thinking no one's sharp enough to notice. The way they overcompensate, puffing their chests like peacocks. The way they avoid certain topics, flinching at the mere mention of their fears. Or the way their smiles stretch just a little too tight, hiding the cracks underneath. They think they're playing you, but really, they're writing their own obituary. Here's the trick, darling. Stop listening to what they say. People lie. But their actions, their habits, their little tics, those are the breadcrumbs leading straight to their fragile little hearts. Watch how they react under pressure, how they squirm when cornered. That's where their cracks are, right there in the way they crumble when the weight gets too heavy. Feeling blind to their manipulations? Nah, you're not blind. You've just been too polite, too trusting. And trust? That's the leash they've been holding around your neck. So let me ask you this. What happens when you cut the leash? When you start seeing them for what they truly are? Glass statues waiting for that one. Perfect. Tap. You know the answer, don't you? They fall. Then you rise. Silence. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Most people don't get it. They're afraid of it. Afraid of the quiet. Afraid of what they might hear when the noise stops. But you're going to make silence your greatest weapon. Let me tell you a little secret about the loud ones. They think noise is power. They think that if they shout enough, if they talk fast enough, they can hide what's really going on underneath. But oh, the louder they get, the more they tell you exactly where it hurts. Think about it. Ever notice how they ramble when they're nervous? How they overshare when they're trying to prove something? It's like they're handing you a roadmap to their fears, their insecurities, their weaknesses, all wrapped up in their own words. And you just sit back and listen. You see, silence isn't empty. It's full of opportunity, full of clues, full of power. Every pause is a chance to watch, to study, to learn. Let them fill the void with their words. Let them reveal themselves piece by piece while you say nothing. They'll hate it, you know. Your silence will rattle them. They'll fidget, they'll push, they'll demand a reaction. Why? Because they need validation. They need to know they're in control. But when you give them nothing, that's when they start to crumble. Patience, darling, that's the game. Don't act immediately. Don't rush to respond. Every second you stay quiet, you're gaining ground, watching, analyzing, learning where to strike when the time is right. And when you finally do act, it's not wild, it's not impulsive, it's calculated, precise, deadly. All because you listened when they didn't think you were paying attention. So let them run their mouths. Let them bury themselves in their own words. And when the moment comes, when the silence has done its job, you strike. And you strike where it hurts. Because silence isn't just golden, it's lethal. God, pride. Such a lovely little trap, isn't it? They wear it like armor, parading around, chest puffed, eyes gleaming with self-importance. But here's the thing about pride. It's not armor. It's a leash. And if you know how to tug just right, they'll choke themselves with it. Arrogance blinds them, makes them think they're untouchable, unbeatable. They walk into the room assuming everyone else is beneath them. And you? Oh, they don't even see you as a threat. Perfect. That's exactly what you want. Here's how it works. You feed that ego, stroke it, compliment them. Let them think they're the smartest person in the room. Let them bask in the glow of their own delusions. And while they're busy admiring themselves, you're already planting the seeds. You see, pride isn't strength. It's a ticking time bomb. Overconfident people, they overreach. They underestimate. They take shortcuts because they think the rules don't apply to them. And all you have to do is give them enough rope. It's like playing with a puppet. Pull one string and they dance. Push the right buttons and they reveal everything. Their arrogance makes them predictable. They'll charge headfirst into traps because they think they're invincible. They'll expose their weaknesses because they're too busy flaunting their strengths. And when they stumble, when their pride gets them in trouble, they won't admit it, oh no. They'll double down, dig themselves deeper, trying to prove they're still in control. That's when you strike. That's when you take everything they've built on their fragile ego and burn it to the ground. They'll never see it coming, because in their mind, they're the king, the untouchable, the unstoppable. But here's the truth they'll never admit. Pride is their prison, and you hold the keys. So let them flaunt, let them boast, let them think they won. And then, with a smirk and a whisper, remind them that pride always falls. Patience. Now, there's a weapon they never see coming. Everyone's in such a hurry these days, rushing to speak, to act, to win. But you? Oh, you're different. You're not playing their game. You're setting the board. Let them dance, let them gloat, let them think they've got you cornered. Watch as they strut around, drunk on their own delusions of power. Every move they make, every word they spit, it's all just noise. Beautiful, chaotic noise that blinds them to the trap you're laying. Patience isn't weakness, it's precision. It's knowing that the right move at the wrong time is still a mistake. So you wait. You watch. You let the tension build. You let them believe they've won because the best strikes are the ones they never see coming. You ever watch a predator stalk its prey? It doesn't pounce at the first chance. No, it studies. It waits for that perfect moment when the prey is just close enough, just vulnerable enough that there's no escape. You see, patience is the art of control. They think they're calling the shots, but all the while, you're the one orchestrating the music. And when it stops, oh, darling, that's when the real show begins. So let them bask in their imagined victories. Let them think the game is theirs. And then, when they least expect it, you remind them that patience isn't passive. It's deadly. Strengths? Ha! What a joke. They walk around with their so-called power, wearing it like a crown. But look closer. That crown? It's made of paper. Their armor? Just painted cardboard. It looks strong until you poke it. People love their facades, don't they? Their little masks of confidence, success, and invincibility. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. It's all a lie. Smoke and mirrors. They're not as strong as they want you to believe. Their strengths are just shields for their biggest fears. The loudest person in the room? Usually the most insecure. The one flaunting their victories? Terrified of failure. The one who seems untouchable? Oh, they're the most fragile of all. They've spent so much time building their castle of illusions, they never stop to reinforce the foundation. And you? You're the storm. The one who sees through the cracks in their walls. The one who knows where to push, where to pull, where to strike. Because here's the truth. Their greatest strength is their greatest weakness. Confidence becomes arrogance. Power becomes recklessness. Control becomes desperation. And you'll turn every strength of theirs into a weapon against them. So don't be intimidated. Don't let their show of power make you second-guess yourself. Their facade is just that, a facade. And when you shatter it, when you bring their painted world crashing down, oh, the look on their faces will be priceless. Oh, they think you're small, do they? Harmless. A blip, a nobody. Perfect. That's the best place to be, right there in their blind spot. You see, when they underestimate you, they stop watching, they stop guarding, they get lazy, and lazy people make mistakes. Beautiful, fatal mistakes. Let them laugh at you, let them dismiss you. Every time they roll their eyes, every time they wave you off, they're handing you ammunition. Because here's the thing, they're building your weapon for you, piece by piece. They think you're quiet because you're weak. Oh no, darling, you're quiet because you're listening. They don't see the fire smoldering behind your eyes. They don't hear the gears turning in your mind. To them, you're just a shadow. But shadows, they have a way of creeping up when the light fades. And when the darkness takes over, that's when you strike. Let them believe you're harmless until it's too late, until the moment their smug little bubble pops and they realize, oh, they've made a grave mistake. They didn't see the storm coming because they were too busy looking in the wrong direction. Being underestimated is a gift, a cloak of invisibility, a trap they willingly walk into. Use it, embrace it, let them think you're nothing until you're everything. Fear. That's the thread that holds them all together, the string you can pull to unravel their entire world. Everyone's afraid of something. Everyone. The ones who claim they're fearless? They're just better at hiding it. But no one escapes fear. And fear? Oh, it's a leash. It controls them, guides their every move. Find it, and you hold the leash. They'll dance to your tune without even realizing it. Listen closely, watch carefully. Fear isn't loud, it's subtle. It's in the way their hands shake when certain topics come up, the way their voice falters when they're cornered, the way they avoid the things that make their heart race. Fear always leaves footprints. You just have to follow them. Once you find their fear, you own them. They'll scramble to hide it, to protect it, to deny it. And the harder they fight, the tighter your grip becomes. Use it to guide them, to trap them, to make them crumble. Because fear is the weakest link in their chain of strength. It's the crack in their armor, the splinter in their foundation. And when you exploit it, they'll fall apart faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. You don't need brute force to win. No. You just need to find what makes them tremble and remind them of it. Over and over and over again. Fear doesn't just break people. It consumes them. They thought they broke you, didn't they? Left you shattered on the ground, bleeding, crying, begging for mercy. But here's the funny thing about pain. It doesn't destroy you. No, it shapes you. It molds you into something sharper, stronger, deadlier. Every scar you wear, it's a story, a lesson, a weapon. They thought those scars would cripple you, but all they did was carve out a warrior. Your pain is your power. Your trauma, it's your armor. And here's the kicker. They'll never see it coming. You've been through the fire. You've felt the heat, the burn, the blistering agony that they wouldn't survive for a second. But you walked out of that inferno alive. Charred, yes, but alive. And now you're fireproof. You know what it feels like to be at rock bottom, so you're not afraid of falling anymore. That's your edge. They fear the fall because they've never been there. But you've built a home in the darkness. You thrive there. Take all that pain, all those nights you spent screaming into the void, and turn it into leverage. Use it to cut through their facades, their smug little grins, their overconfidence. They think they've got the upper hand, but they don't know what you've endured to get here. Because here's the truth they don't want to face. Pain doesn't break you, it builds you. So let them see your scars. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're weak because of what you've been through. Then show them what pain really looks like when it's turned into power. They'll regret ever trying to hurt you, because all they did was sharpen your edges. And now, you're a blade they'll never see coming. They thought they had you figured out. Predictable, cornered, broken. Oh, how they laughed, how they gloated, spinning their little schemes, tightening the noose they thought was meant for you. But they forgot one thing, didn't they? You're not the prey in this game. You're the one pulling the strings. Look at them now, squirming, panicking, unraveling at the seams. Their confidence? It's a cheap mask, cracking under the weight of their own arrogance. Their plans? Oh, those brilliant, foolproof plans. They're nothing more than a house of cards. And you're the gust of wind that sends it all tumbling down. They thought they could control you, box you in, write your story. But here's the twist they never saw coming. The pen was in your hand all along. And now you're rewriting the script. You're not just surviving anymore, you're orchestrating. Every move they make, every word they speak, every weakness they've tried so hard to hide, it's all yours to play with. Like a maestro conducting a symphony of chaos, you've turned their strengths into shackles, their pride into a noose, and their fears into your greatest weapon. Do you feel it? That sweet electric hum of power coursing through your veins? That's not just victory, no. It's something far greater. It's control. It's the realization that no matter how much they pushed, no matter how much they tried to tear you down, you've risen higher, stronger. And now, as they stand there, bewildered, watching you ascend, they realize the truth. You were never the underdog. You were the storm brewing on the horizon, the chaos they couldn't contain. So laugh. Laugh loud. Laugh hard. Let them hear it echo in their hollow chests. Let it haunt their dreams. Because they'll never forget this moment. The moment the tables turned. The moment the puppet became the master. You're holding the strings now. And they're just the puppets in your show. Take a bow, my friend. The stage is yours. And the world? Oh, it's about to learn exactly who you are. Ah, welcome back. You magnificent glitch in their timeline. The one they marked as dangerous before you even knew your own name. They've been tracking you, haven't they? Monitoring, documenting, filing reports with trembling hands. Because something about you doesn't compute something in your energy signature, keeps triggering their alarms, and now they're calling you the catalyst, like that's supposed to scare you, like you're supposed to shrink back and apologize for existing in a frequency they can't control. But here's what they won't tell you. That mark on your file, that red flag next to your name. That's not a warning for you. That's a warning about you. Because somewhere in some hidden chamber, some esoteric order, some ancient network of watchers, they saw you coming. They've been waiting for someone like you, someone who doesn't follow the script, someone who breaks patterns, someone whose very existence threatens to wake up everyone around them. And congratulations, beautiful chaos, you just activated it. You felt it, didn't you? That shift, that crack in the foundation of everything you thought was solid. Maybe it was a moment of clarity so sharp it cut through every lie you've ever been told. Or maybe it was that night you stared at the ceiling and realized you weren't afraid anymore. Not of them, not of failure, not even of your own power. Because something rewired itself inside you without permission, without warning. You stopped playing their game. You stopped pretending to be smaller than you are. You stopped apologizing for seeing through the illusions they work so hard to maintain. And that's when the activation happened. Not with fireworks, not with applause, but with a quiet, terrifying certainty that you are not who they said you were. You never were. And now there's no going back. Because once you activate, once you cross that threshold into knowing what you really are, the universe doesn't let you unsee it. They called you the catalyst because catalysts don't ask permission. Catalysts don't wait for approval. Catalysts don't need anyone to believe in them to create massive, irreversible change. You are the element that enters a stable system and forces transformation. You are the presence that makes comfortable people uncomfortable. You are the truth that shatters carefully constructed lies just by existing in the same room. And they've known this about you longer than you've known it about yourself. That's why they've been watching, documenting, trying to predict your next move, trying to contain the inevitable, trying to study how someone breaks free of programming that was supposed to be unbreakable. But every person they sent to monitor you came back different, came back questioning, came back unable to pretend anymore that the system they serve isn't built on sand and fear and control. Let me tell you what really happened. They didn't mark you as the catalyst by accident. This wasn't random selection. This wasn't luck or coincidence. You earned this mark through every moment. You refused to break through every betrayal that should have destroyed you but didn't. Through every time you chose truth over comfort, chose solitude over fake connection, chose your own voice over the choir of conformity. They watched you walk through fire after fire after fire. And instead of turning to ash, you turned to something else entirely. Something they don't have a category for, something that doesn't fit in their boxes, their labels, their diagnoses, their comfortable little explanations for why some people just don't follow the rules. And now you're here carrying that mark like a scar, like a warning, like a promise. And every person who gets close enough to really see you feels it, that unsettling, magnificent, terrifying energy that says this one cannot be controlled. You know what the catalyst mark really means? It means they saw in you what you're only starting to see in yourself. The ability to trigger mass awakening, not through teaching, not through preaching, but simply through being undeniably real in a world built on performance. You don't have to try to wake people up. Your authentic existence does it for you, because when someone encounters real freedom, real clarity, real power that isn't performing for validation, something in them starts screaming, something in them starts breaking, something in them realizes they've been asleep their whole lives, and that terrifies the order more than anything else, because one catalyst can create a chain reaction. One person living in their full, unfiltered truth can crack open 1,000 others who were just waiting for permission to stop pretending. And you stopped asking for permission a long time ago, didn't you? They marked you because you have that dangerous quality authenticity in a world that runs on masks. You stopped performing, stopped shape-shifting, stopped contorting yourself into acceptable shapes. And the moment you did, the moment you stood in your raw, unedited truth, the whole landscape shifted around you. People who loved your mask couldn't handle your face. People who praised your performance couldn't stomach your reality. People who wanted you controllable, comfortable, digestible. They scattered like roaches when the light came on, and you let them go, didn't you? You didn't chase, you didn't explain, you didn't try to make them understand, because by then you'd already crossed into that space where other people's comfort is no longer your responsibility, where other people's fear of your power is no longer your problem, where other people's need for you to stay small is no longer even visible on your radar. But here's what makes you truly dangerous as a catalyst. You don't need their understanding to function. You don't need their approval to transform. You don't need their belief to create massive change. You operate on a completely different frequency. Now, one they can't track, one they can't predict, one they definitely can't control. And that's why the reports keep piling up on you. That's why your name keeps triggering alerts. That's why every attempt to categorize you fails, because you're not stable, you're not predictable, you're not safe. You are pure potential, pure possibility, pure chaos, in the best, most creative, most destructive sense. Chaos doesn't follow rules, doesn't respect authority, doesn't care about their carefully maintained order. Chaos just is, and transforms everything it touches, whether anyone's ready or not. The esoteric order, they're not some cartoon villain organization with robes and rituals. They're the invisible architecture of control, the unspoken rules, the social contracts you never signed, the belief systems passed down like viruses, the fear-based programming running in the background of most people's minds. They're everyone who benefits from your smallness, everyone who profits from your confusion, everyone who needs you asleep to maintain their position. And you became a threat to all of it, not through violence, not through rebellion, but through something far more dangerous, awakening while you were still in the cage and then refusing to pretend you don't see the bars anymore. That's what activated you, that moment when you stopped pretending, that moment when you looked at everything you'd been taught and said, no, not anymore, never again. Let's talk about what happens after activation, because they don't tell you this part. They don't warn you that once you cross that threshold, once you become the catalyst, everything changes, not gradually, not gently, but catastrophically. The person you were dies, not metaphorically, actually dies. Every comfortable lie you told yourself, every safe story about who you are, every version of yourself built to please others, to avoid conflict, to stay invisible, it all burns. And what's left is raw, unfiltered, dangerous potential, wearing your face, but with different eyes, older eyes, colder eyes, eyes that see through everything and everyone without trying, without wanting to. Because now you can't not see the truth. It's like someone turned on infrared vision and suddenly you see the fear underneath every smile, the manipulation underneath every compliment, the control underneath every kindness, and you can't turn it off. People notice the change immediately. They ask, what happened to you? Why are you different? Why don't you laugh at their jokes anymore? Why don't you engage with their drama? Why do you seem so distant, so cold, so untouchable? And you don't know how to explain that. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not distant. You're free. You're not untouchable. You're just done being a punching bag, a project, a fixer, an emotional support system for people who refuse to do their own work, because the catalyst doesn't rescue, doesn't save, doesn't carry anyone who isn't carrying themselves. The catalyst creates conditions for transformation, but each person has to choose to walk through their own fire. And most people would rather stay comfortable, would rather stay asleep, would rather hate you for being awake than do the terrifying work of waking up themselves. This is when you start losing people, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your frequency is rising and not everyone can match it. Some people you love, some people you trusted, some people you thought would be there. Forever they start acting strange, start pulling away, start talking about you differently because they can feel it, that shift in your energy, that activation humming underneath your skin, and it scares them, reminds them of their own untapped potential, their own unlived life, their own caged power. And instead of being inspired, they're threatened. Instead of being curious, they're defensive. Instead of rising with you, they try to drag you back down to the frequency where they felt comfortable, where you were manageable, where your light wasn't so blinding that it exposed all their shadows, and you have to let them go. You have to choose yourself over keeping them comfortable. You have to activate fully, even if it means activating alone. But here's what they never tell you about being the catalyst. The loneliness is part of the power. The isolation is part of the transformation. The distance between you and everyone who stayed asleep, that's not punishment. That's protection, because you're being prepared for something they can't imagine. Yet you're being forged in a fire they couldn't survive. You're being upgraded to a frequency that operates beyond their reality. And yeah, it hurts, like your skin is being peeled off, like your heart is being ripped out, like everything familiar is being torn away. But that's because it is. Because you can't become what you're meant to be while clinging to. What you were, you can't activate fully while trying to maintain your old life, your old identity, your old comfortable cage. And the Order knows this. That's why they marked you, hoping the loneliness would break you, hoping the different isolation would send you crawling back, hoping you'd choose comfort over truth, but you didn't. You're still here. And now you're starting to see what the catalyst mark really means. It means you're the one who breaks the spell, not for everyone, not even for most people, but for the ones who are ready, for the ones who've been waiting, for permission, for the ones who just needed to see one person stand in their full truth, to realize they can too. You're not here to save the world. You're here to shatter the illusion that anyone needs saving. You're not here to lead the masses. You're here to activate the few who were always meant to burn this bright. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. And every person who encounters your activated presence has to make a praise choice. Stay asleep and comfortable, or wake up and burn. And most will choose sleep, but the ones who choose fire, the ones who choose truth, the ones who choose their own activation, they're the reason you went through all of this. They're the reason the Order marked you. They're the reason you had to die and resurrect into something they can't name, can't control, can't stop. You want to know the real reason they call you the catalyst? It's not because you're special in the way they make heroes special. It's because you're dangerous in the way truth is dangerous. You don't fit narratives. You don't follow scripts. You don't perform the role they need you to play to keep their system functioning. And that makes you a walking crisis, an existential threat to every comfortable lie, every false hierarchy, every power structure built on keeping people small, scared, and controllable. You're not trying to be a threat. You're just refusing to be a puppet. And in a world where everyone's dancing on strings, your stillness, your groundedness, your absolute refusal to be moved by their manipulation, it reads as rebellion. It registers as warfare. It triggers every alarm they have, because you are the evidence that their control is not absolute. The esoteric order, they've been tracking catalysts for centuries, marking the ones who slip through the programming, the ones who wake up inside the dream and start poking holes in the fabric of consensus reality. And they have protocols for people like you. First they ignore, hoping you'll fade back into conformity. Then they mock, hoping shame will shut you down. Then they isolate, hoping loneliness will break you. Then they attack, hoping fear will cage you again. But none of it worked on you, did it? You got ignored and kept growing. You got mocked and kept rising. You got isolated and found yourself. You got attacked and became untouchable, because somewhere along the way, you realized their weapons only work on people who still need their approval. And you stopped needing anything from them a long time ago. Stopped needing validation. Stopped needing inclusion. Stopped needing them to understand. And that's when you became truly dangerous. Because here's what the order fears most. A person who doesn't need anything from the system, can't be controlled by the system, They can't threaten you with loss because you've already lost everything and rebuilt yourself from the wreckage. They can't tempt you with rewards because you've learned to generate your own worth. They can't manipulate you with fear because you've already walked through your worst nightmares and survived. They can't gaslight you into doubting yourself because you've spent too long in the dark, learning to trust your own inner knowing, and now you're loose in their carefully ordered world like a virus in their programming, like a crack in their foundation, like a question they can't answer. And every person you touch with your activated energy, every person who looks in your eyes and sees someone living in radical truth without apology, every person who encounters your refusal to play pretend, they become potential catalysts too. And that's what keeps the order up at night, the possibility that you're not an anomaly, you're the beginning of a mass awakening. You feel it now, don't you? That weight, that responsibility, that knowing that you're not just living your life anymore. You're demonstrating a possibility. You're not just healing your wounds anymore. You're mapping a path through the fire. You're not just surviving anymore. You're showing others what's possible when you refuse to stay small. And that's terrifying because you never asked for this, never wanted to be a symbol, never tried to be anyone's inspiration. But activation doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for readiness, doesn't care if you feel prepared. It just happens, and then you have to decide what to do with it. And you decided to burn, brighter to speak, louder to exist more fully, even knowing it would cost you everything, even knowing most people would misunderstand, even knowing the order would mark you as dangerous because the alternative, going back to sleep, pretending you don't see the truth, shrinking yourself back into acceptability, that death is worse than any loneliness, any isolation, any price they could make you pay. And now the interesting part starts, because being marked as the catalyst isn't the end, it's the beginning. You've been activated, you've been isolated, you've been tested, you've been forged, and now you get to choose what kind of catalyst you become. Do you burn with rage, setting fire to everything around you? Or do you burn with clarity, illuminating without destroying? Do you use your power to dominate or to liberate? Do you become what you hated? Or do you transcend it entirely? Because here's the secret. They don't tell you the catalyst mark is neutral. It's pure potential, pure power, pure transformative energy. But what you do with it, what you build with it, what you create or destroy with it, that's entirely up to you. And the order is watching, waiting, documenting, trying to predict which way you'll jump, trying to calculate whether you'll be the catalyst that breaks their system or the catalyst that makes it stronger through your resistance, because every rebel they've ever marked eventually makes a choice, and that choice determines everything. So here you are, marked, activated, transformed, standing at the crossroads that every catalyst eventually reaches. And let me be clear about something. This moment right here, this is what they've been waiting for. This is what all the watching, all the testing, all the isolation was preparing you for, because the catalyst who realizes their power too early destroys themselves and everyone around them. But the catalyst who realizes their power at exactly the right moment, when they've been broken enough to be humble, but not broken enough to be bitter, that catalyst can change everything, and they're terrified. You might be that one. They're terrified you might have walked through enough fire to understand power without being corrupted by it. They're terrified you might be the one who doesn't just break the system, but builds something better in its place. Let me tell you what they don't want you to know about being the catalyst. You're not alone. There are others, marked just like you, scattered across this reality, each one activated in their own way, each one carrying their own frequency, each one believing they're the only one who sees through the illusions. But you're not. You're part of a network, a frequency, a rising tide of people who refuse to stay asleep. And the order knows this, knows that when enough catalysts activate, when enough people start operating from truth instead of fear, When enough souls refuse to be controlled anymore, the whole structure collapses. Not through violence, not through revolution, but through simple mass. Refusal to participate in the lie. And that's happening now, faster than they can track, faster than they can contain. Because you activated, and your activation activated someone else, and their activation activated 3 more. And it's spreading like wildfire through the collective consciousness. But here's where it gets interesting. The Order isn't entirely evil. They're not cartoon villains twirling mustaches. They're the manifestation of collective fear. They're what humanity creates when it's too afraid to trust itself, too afraid to trust freedom, too afraid to trust chaos and creativity and the unknown. So we build structures, rules, systems, orders, anything to create the illusion of control, the illusion of safety, the illusion that if we just follow the rules, everything will be okay. And for most people, that's enough. Most people would rather have comfortable lies than uncomfortable truth. Most people would rather have predictable misery than unpredictable freedom. But you're not most people. You're the catalyst. You're the one who looked at safety and said, no thank you, I'll take truth. Instead, you're the one who looked at their comfortable cage and said, I'd rather be terrified and free than comfortable and controlled. And now you have a choice. You can use your catalyst energy to destroy, to burn down every structure, every system, every order that ever tried to contain you. Or you can use your catalyst energy to transform, to show by example that there's another way to be living proof that freedom is possible, that authenticity is survivable, that power without corruption is real. And both paths are valid. Both paths are necessary. Both paths have their place in the transformation. That's coming, but only you can choose which catalyst you become. Only you can decide whether your activation creates or destroys, whether your truth liberates or isolates, whether your power builds bridges or burns them. And the beautiful, terrifying part is there's no right answer, no cosmic authority grading your choices, no divine plan telling you which path to take. You're truly free, truly powerful, truly responsible for what you create. With this energy they gave you the mark, but you decide what it means. The Order is watching, yes, but not just to stop you. They're watching to learn. They're watching to see what becomes of someone who activates fully. They're watching because even they don't know what happens when enough catalysts choose transformation over destruction, when enough people decide to build instead of burn, when enough awakened souls start creating new systems, new structures, new ways of being that don't require control, don't require fear, don't require anyone to stay small for everyone else to feel safe. And you might be part of the generation that figures it out. You might be part of the network that doesn't just tear down the old world, but births the new. You might be the catalyst that shows others. It's possible to be powerful without being cruel, to be free without being selfish, to be awake without being angry at everyone who's still asleep. Alone, aren't you? Surrounded by their noise, their opinions, their empty, hollow laughter. And yet, none of it touches you. None of it breaks through. They look at you, the outsider, the wanderer, the lone wolf, and they whisper, "What's wrong with him?" But you smile, don't you? Because deep down, you know the truth. You're not lost. Oh no, far from it. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Alone. Alone doesn't mean broken. It doesn't mean weak. It means free. Free from their games, their schemes, their desperate need to fit in. You're not shackled by their expectations or suffocated by their approval. You're untouchable. And that terrifies them. They hate what they can't understand. You're a puzzle they can't solve, a shadow they can't grasp. And instead of looking inward, instead of daring to see the truth, they'll point their fingers and shout, "Stay away from him. Pa, stay away." Oh, they'd love that, wouldn't they? They'd love for you to crawl back to the herd, to beg for their acceptance, but you won't. You don't, because you've seen what they are, sheep. Following the noise, never questioning the slaughterhouse at the end of the path. You, though, you walk alone. You thrive in the quiet. That silence they run from, that's your kingdom. And every step you take, every moment you stand tall, they feel it. Their fear, their jealousy. They'll never admit it, but they envy you. Because they know, deep down, they could never survive out here, where the wolves roam. So let them talk, let them judge, let them try to drag you down. They can't touch you. And as you walk on, head high, unbroken, you laugh. Because you know something they never will. Being alone isn't a curse. It's power. You're not like them. Never were, never will be. And oh, how that eats at them. They see you walking your own road, breaking their rules, and it burns them alive. Because you're the reminder they can't escape, the proof that there's another way. And for that, they'll hate you. Oh, they'll smile to your face, but behind those grins, knives. Sharp, shiny, and ready to carve you into something they understand. Something smaller, something weaker. They'll judge you, mock you, whisper behind your back, "Who does he think he is?" But the truth, they know exactly who you are. You're the spark they can't snuff out. The storm they can't control, and that terrifies them. Because you don't conform, you don't kneel, you don't play their little games, and that makes you dangerous. They'll call you arrogant, cold, detached. They'll paint you as the villain in their fragile little stories because the thought of you living free while they're trapped, it's unbearable to them. But here's the punchline. Their rejection, their judgment, it's not about you. It's about them. It's their fear, their insecurity, their mediocrity screaming out. Because deep down, they wish they had what you have, the guts to stand apart. Yeah, being different has a price. You'll lose friends. You'll face ridicule. You'll feel the sting of loneliness. But that's the cost of greatness, isn't it? That's the toll for walking a road no one else dares to tread. So let them judge, let them mock, let them try to pull you back into their pit of mediocrity. Because you're not afraid to pay the price. And every step you take further from their chains, that's the sound of freedom, ringing louder than their lie. The crowd, oh, the crowd. They move together, think together, bleed together. A noisy, writhing mess of desperation disguised as unity. They cling to each other, clutching their illusions like lifelines. Because silence terrifies them. That's why they hate you. You thrive in the quiet, the space where their noise can't reach you. They don't understand it, how someone could walk away from the safety of the herd, from the comfort of their shared lives. It makes them angry, resentful, because your solitude shines a spotlight on what they fear the most. They can't handle the mirror you hold up. That mirror without the noise, the distractions, the excuses. It forces them to see what they truly are. Cogs in a machine they didn't build. Puppets dancing to a tune they didn't write. So they lash out. They'll try to drag you back into their chaos. They'll tell you you're arrogant, antisocial, broken. They'll whisper it to each other in their endless noise, hoping to drown out the truth. But you don't need their noise. You don't need their validation. You don't need them. And That is what cuts the deepest. The crowd hates the lone wolf because you don't just survive without them. You thrive. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's power. It's clarity. It's the roar of a mind unchained by the herd. So let them resent you. Let them call you names. Try to break your stride. Because the truth is simple. The lone wolf isn't alone out of weakness. No. The lone wolf walks alone because the pack moves too slow. Ah, solitude. The one thing they fear the most. Because when you're alone, truly alone, something remarkable happens. You start to hear things. No, not the noise of the crowd, not their endless chatter, their judgments, their lies. No, you hear you. Your thoughts. Raw, unfiltered. Terrifying, isn't it? To face your own mind without the buffer of their distractions. But oh, what power lies in that silence. What clarity. See, when you walk alone, you start to discover something they never will. Your own power, your own truth. You become the master of your thoughts, the architect of your destiny. The crowd? They'll never know that kind of freedom. They're too busy running from themselves, hiding behind the noise, filling every moment with meaningless distractions, so they never have to face what you've embraced. And that's why solitude makes you dangerous. In the quiet, you grow sharper, stronger. You see the world for what it is, without the filters, without the illusions. You learn to rely on yourself, to trust in your instincts, to thrive without the crutch of their approval. They'll never understand it. They'll call it loneliness, try to twist it into something pitiable. But deep down, they envy you. Because while they drown in their noise, you've mastered the silence. So let them whisper. Let them judge, while they're busy clinging to each other. You're out there carving your own path, building something they can't even comprehend. Because solitude isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. And in the silence, you're unstoppable. They love to label you, don't they? Cold, distant, arrogant. That's their little game. If they can't understand you, they'll reduce you, make you small, box you in with their flimsy words. But here's the truth they'll never admit. They're jealous. Oh, they'd never say it out loud. No, that would be too honest, too raw. But every glance, every whisper behind your back, every sneer when you walk into the room, it's all soaked in envy. Because you're free. While they're tangled in the web of opinions, tiptoeing through life, desperate for approval, you couldn't care less. You don't need their applause, their validation, their fake little smiles. You're untouchable. And that drives them mad. They can't stand that you don't play their game, that you don't need their approval to feel alive. You walk your path, head held high, while they're chained to the herd, terrified of stepping out of line. They'll never admit it, but deep down they wish they had your strength, your independence, the audacity to live without the safety net of their approval. But don't let their jealousy bother you, their judgment. It's just fear wearing a mask, fear of your freedom, fear of your strength, fear of the fact that you remind them of what they'll never be. So let them talk. Let them judge, because every time they do, it's just proof that you're doing something they can't. You're living on your own terms, and that's the one thing they'll never forgive you for. Ah, the bitter truth no one likes to hear. Greatness isn't handed to you on a silver platter. It's earned, paid for in blood, sweat, in things you'd rather not let go of. Friends, they'll fall away when you start climbing. Comfort? That's the first thing to go. Safety? Ha! That's for the herd, not for wolves. To rise above, you must strip away everything that weighs you down. You walk lighter, yes, but lonelier. And that's the price. The lone wolf doesn't walk alone because he wants to. He walks alone because he has to. Greatness demands a toll. It whispers in your ear, let them go, leave them behind, keep moving. And you listen, because deep down, you know you weren't meant for the middle. It hurts, doesn't it, leaving behind what once made you whole? But tell me, what's the alternative? Stay behind? Get swallowed by mediocrity? Nah, that's not you. The lone wolf pays the price because he knows what waits at the top. Power, freedom, immortality. The crowd may call it selfish. Let them. They don't understand that some things are worth every sacrifice. They don't see you, do they? You blend into the shadows, silent, unnoticed. But oh, if they only knew what those quiet eyes of yours are doing, watching, calculating. While they squabble over petty victories, you're taking notes, studying every weakness, every blind spot, every move they make. You're not here to join the game. They don't even realize you're the one rewriting the rules. That's the thing about silence. It terrifies them. People can't handle the unknown. They mistake your stillness for passivity, your quiet for weakness. What a delicious miscalculation. Because when you strike, it's not a move. It's checkmate. They're too busy drowning in their noise to see the predator lurking in the background. But that's the power of the lone wolf. You don't need to bark. You don't need their attention. You let them think you're irrelevant, all while planning their demise. That's the secret, isn't it? While they're busy showing off, you're building empires in your mind. They'll see you when it's too late, when the pieces have already fallen into place. Because you're not just silent, you're deadly. Ah, here it comes. The whispers, the sideways glances, the labels they slap on you, trying to make sense of what they don't understand. Dangerous, difficult, a problem that refuses to play by their rules. But why? Why does the world hate what it can't put on a leash? It's simple. Control. They crave it, need it. And you're the wrench in their perfect little machine. You don't fit the mold. You don't bow your head. And that terrifies them. See, society thrives on predictability. It needs everyone marching in line, keeping the gears turning. But you're the glitch in their program, the wild card, the storm they can't forecast. And what do people do when they can't control something? They try to crush it, to shame it, to silence it. But here's the thing, you don't scare easily, do you? Let them try. Let them call you every name in their vocabulary. Because the truth is, they fear you not because you're wrong, but because you're free. They'll never admit it, of course. They'll mask their fear with ridicule, with disdain, but deep down, they envy you. Envy the man who doesn't need permission, who doesn't flinch when the world points its trembling finger. So, let them fear you. Wear it like a badge, because the lone wolf doesn't answer to the herd, and that's what makes him unstoppable. They want you to think you're lonely, that walking your path means living in shadows, drowning in silence. But that's their lie, isn't it? A desperate attempt to pull you back into their arms, their noise, their mediocrity. Lonely? Ha! No, my friend, you're not lonely. You're focused, driven, alive. You've got something they'll never have, a purpose, A fire that burns so bright it doesn't need their light to survive. They chase distractions to fill the void. You're building something real. Solitude isn't your punishment, it's your sanctuary. It's where the noise fades and the truth begins to echo. It's where you find your strength, your clarity, your power. And while they're out there, losing themselves in the crowd, you're finding yourself. Every step you take alone is a step closer to becoming untouchable. So let them call you lonely. Let them pity you. They don't understand. They can't see the fire that drives you forward, the path you're carving. Because loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of purpose. And you've got purpose in spades. So here we are, the final chapter. You've walked the road most wouldn't dare to tread, faced the whispers, the doubts, the sneers. You felt the weight of solitude, the sting of being misunderstood. And yet, here you stand. Look around. Do you see them? The ones who mocked you, doubted you, tried to pull you down, they're still there, stuck in the same cycle, bound by the same chains. While you've risen. Yes, it's a heavy price. The nights alone, the sacrifices, the scars you carry, both seen and unseen, the silence that sometimes feels too loud to bear. It's not easy. It was never supposed to be. But look at what you've built. Look at what you've become. A force they can't control, a presence they can't ignore. While they clung to comfort, you embraced chaos. While they sought approval, you carved your own destiny. And when you reach the top, when the world finally stops and stares, not out of pity, not out of ridicule, but out of sheer awe, they'll understand. They'll realize the truth you've known all along. Greatness was never meant for the crowd. It's forged in solitude, tempered by struggle, and unleashed by those bold enough to walk alone. So go ahead, keep walking. Let them watch, let them whisper, let them wonder. Because one day they'll look up at you and see not the outcast, not the rebel, but the unstoppable force you were always destined to be. And when that day comes, oh, how they'll regret ever doubting you. Cue the laugh, chaotic, triumphant, unforgettable. The go-ahead world, condemn me, fear me, call me crazy, because in the end, the ones who dared to walk alone, they're the ones who rewrite the rules. They're the ones who win.